In this video, I have chosen to collect some of the most valuable content that I have made myself on this YouTube channel throughout the last couple of months to give you a clear process and understanding of how you should build your internal process for your paid advertising efforts to make sure you only spend your time while you have the most amount of leverage and can take home more profits. That's why this video is a little bit longer. You could essentially also call it a mini course. And in this mini course, we are going to go over how you should build your foundation, meaning your offers, your product market fit, and having products that actually resonate with your audience. Then we need to look at how you build your funnels in a way where they are self-sustainable and don't take too much time on your end to sustain. And thirdly, we need to look at organic marketing, how you can build your brand in a way where you can build a cost-efficient funnel through paid advertising that can help you scale your paid advertising efforts without you seeing a crazy increase in your cost per acquisition. So all in all, this video is everything you need to build an internal process for your paid advertising efforts that can generate you millions of dollars in profits here in 2025. And without further ado, let's just jump straight into the first video that's all about how you build your foundation. Chapter number 2, and perhaps one of the most foundational chapters as well, is optimization of our offers. Now, one of the most essential elements for achieving success with your paid advertising is your offers. Practically speaking, your offer is the product that you are selling to your target audience. And the reason why it's so important is because you have the most amount of leverage and can drive the greatest impact for your business at your offer stack. Now, the reason why this client of mine previously had such a hard time to scale his paid advertising efforts on Meta profitably was because he was trying to push his high AOV offers front end, which simply doesn't work in his industry. As I said, this client of mine is selling tiles, and obviously tiles is a product of a high AOV. In this case, my client have a average order value of 8,000 Danish kroner. Now, when you have such a high AOV, you will obviously naturally see a low conversion rate, and you will have a much harder time to acquire first-time customers profitably, because there's such a huge gap for the customer to take when he or her essentially need to buy tiles. And that's also why so many people buy tiles in store, because they want to have a feel for the product. They want to see the product, the quality of the product, the design of the product, the style of the product. And in this industry specifically, you just can't scale your advertising efforts with you pushing your high AOV offers front end. It simply just doesn't work. Now, what I did for this client of mine was to essentially revamp his offer stack. So what we did was to introduce a new offer, a new low friction offer, and a low friction offer that made it possible for us to actually scale. And what we essentially implemented was a product sample of the tile, the specific tile you wish, at 99 Danish kroner, which is approximately $15. So what we can do, and what we did in this case, was go out to the market and say, hey, you actively don't need to purchase let's say a large order of, let's say 10,000 or 8,000 Danish kroner, whatever it might be. You can essentially purchase this low friction offer, a product sample for $15, where you can get the specific tile that you wish for a really, really low rate, where you can essentially see the product, you can see the design of the product, the quality of the product, you can get a feeling for the product before you then later convert it with a much higher AOV. And that's concisely what I did for this client. Now, that low friction offer was an offer that pretty much changed everything for us. And what that offer did was it allowed us to scale our paid advertising efforts, because in this industry and for most of the companies in this industry, they only essentially utilize the paid advertising efforts for people who are most aware or product aware. And what I mean by that is that if you have to acquire a customer and you push your high AOV offers front end, most likely you will only acquire customers who are on the edge of buying. You can't talk to a problem or unaware stage in your marketing funnel, because those types of customers are at the start of your buying journey. So it's pretty much impossible for you to scale if you don't essentially look at your offer stack and see how you can implement a product sample as I did for this client. Now, this product sample also made it a lot easier for us to acquire customers who are problem aware and unaware, because it's just such a low friction offer. For $15, you can get the specific time that you wanted. That's also why we could revamp his advertising efforts and quite quickly already scale his budget 3x while remaining profitable. Now, as I said, we essentially crafted a low friction offer, and I have actually taken 2 ads with me here so you can see what it looked like. Now, on the ad to the left, you can see that the founder is essentially on an ad, making a few product samples for customers that have essentially ordered that, and you can see that it's a little piece of that specific tile that you want, which you can get for a really, really low rate. And long story short, it worked wonders, and I have taken a screenshot with me here from our Shopify dashboard. Obviously, this is just a few orders, but it has just allowed us to scale. And as I said previously, and as this slide says, that has literally changed everything for us, because we have been able to scale our advertising efforts front end. We don't have to essentially rely on a long customer journey or retention or lifetime value. We can scale with front end profitability, and that's also why we could free his spend quite quickly and just revamp his advertising on Meta quite quickly. And that specific product sample offer have also worked as an ad liquidator and improved the overall health of the business. What I mean by that is that in most cases, we can almost go break even selling a product sample. And when we go break even selling a product sample, we can essentially acquire a customer later on, or we have already acquired the customer, but we can acquire a high AOV order later on, but let's say 12,000 Danish kroner, and only have the COGS of that order, meaning that previously when he got a sale of, let's say, for easy maths, 12,000 Danish kroner, he would essentially have his advertising spend and his COGS, which is cost of goods sold. But in this case, we can essentially eliminate our advertising spend from such an offer, because that is getting liquidated front end by our product sample offers. And when we essentially acquire that large order of high AV, the only thing that the owner have to pay is obviously for the goods sold. So we essentially don't have to pay any advertising spend, and that have overall increased the profitability of the company a lot. And the company is a lot more healthier now, because we can use this as an ad liquidator and also gain a competitive advantage in this industry specific, which obviously have allowed us to capture more market share. Now, this is, of course, a bit of a intricate example, I would say. So if you're in a position where you don't sell types and you still want to improve your offer stack or increase the perceived value of your offer, what you can do is look at Alex Hormozi's value equation and use that to increase the overall perceived value of your offer, which would also give you... Now that you have an understanding of how to build your foundation so you can actually acquire customers at a profit at your store, we now have to move on and look at how you can build your funnels from A to Z. First and foremost, we are going to go over why it's so crucial to hit the right narrative with your audience, meaning that you actually have a message in your advertising that actually resonate with your audience and makes them essentially engage with your brand. And secondly, I'm going to show you how you can build a funnel based on 5 different levels of awareness. We have unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. And you will also see how I've built a funnel for a client of mine and why it's so crucial to build your funnel with the 5 levels of awareness in mind. Let's get going. Use narrative-based advertising to successfully acquire new customers and increase your volume, whilst your hardcore KPIs such as POAS and marketing efficiency stays stable at scale. The primary concept that I want to talk about in this specific letter is narrative-based advertising. And that pretty much means that you as an advertiser must resonate with the wavelength that your target audience vibrates on. And as you can see here, core thesis narrative determines success. A message with the same wavelengths as the market will result in resonance and will result in profits from your advertising efforts. If you can't align yourself with the stringent that your target audience vibrates on, you won't succeed with your advertising efforts. Now, the narrative of your marketing determines whether you will essentially succeed or fail. It's not the specific technology, it's not the specific methodology or trick inside of the ads manager that you use which makes the difference, because I have seen extremely oversimplified ad setup scale significantly in ad spend whilst remaining profitable. And in this video, I'm going to showcase you a client of mine that I'm scaling actively as I'm speaking right now, so you can have an understanding of how you can align your narrative with the same wavelength as your target audience. Now, matching the same wavelength as your audience is not something that happens inside of your ads manager. It's something that happens outside of your ads manager, and it's essentially it's a foundational principle that determines the advertising success. And the case study that I want to take ground on today, the brand that I want to showcase today, why I'm actively scaling this specific client of mine with narrative-based advertising and acquisition funnels, is called Kufferkørhandsker. It's a Danish brand that sells road books. The founder loves cars and everything that is essentially about cars, so he have made his own product, a road book that he sells on his own Shopify store. And as you can see to the right, I have a Shopify analytics screenshot of the scaling phase that we are currently in as I'm speaking right now. And you can essentially see the dates for yourself. Furthermore, I have also made a case study covering this brand called Masterclass, how I grew this client of mine by 113%. And it's essentially a super cool case study of mine that I have been helping scale super rapidly here in 2024. Now, yet again, the primary concept, narrative-based advertising. Narrative stands for the way of communicating arguments and prevailing the beliefs that your target audience already have. It's essentially the invisible hands that influences success or failure. It either works for you or it works against you. Most advertisers hit a glass ceiling with their scale, where their marketing efficiency and ROAS starts to decline, making it unprofitable for them to scale further. This means that most advertisers, especially in the e-commerce world, never get past a certain level of scale in their scaling phase. And with that said, it's also a really small percentage of advertisers that truly markets a unique product. I would even go as far as saying that 5% of e-commerce brands have a unique product, whereas 95% of e-commerce brands just have a similar product as their competitors. And it's essentially a small percentage that markets a unique product, which their target audience understands, see the difference in, and values from the get-go. The vast majority advertisers have a similar product as their competitors, meaning that they have to essentially differentiate themselves based on how they are advertised their specific product. And therefore, it's essentially the job as the marketer to market the product in a way that vibrates on the same wavelength as the target audience. And you might ask yourself, well, how do I make sure that I do that? Well, you have to audit and have a firm grasp of your current market situation. You have to understand your market a lot better than your competitors do, because marketing is essentially dependent on how the market is looking. And here are some questions and statements that can essentially help you get started. Who is selling a similar product as I'm doing? What arguments are they using to essentially sell the product? What price points are being represented in the industry? And how has marketing changed amongst competitors? Now, when you essentially have a firm grasp of your current market situation, you also have to align your advertising with the 5 level of awareness, where you as an advertiser want to penetrate up, meaning that you want to essentially penetrate all that is most aware, then go up to the people who are product aware, and step by step essentially align yourself with each awareness stage. And if you can essentially make advertising that resonates with the people on an unaware and problem aware stage, you will have an easier time, a lot easier time to essentially scale your advertising efforts, because most people are kept because they don't understand how to advertise successfully at a higher level of awareness, because it's the most difficult level of awareness to essentially advertise to. And after that, you will also need to understand the level of market sophistication, which pretty much means that how often your target audience have seen similar offers / products, and how skeptical and smart they are. And to essentially sum it up, there are 5 levels of sophistication. We have first to market, where you can lead by a claim, result, or benefit. Second to market, where you have to scale up the claim that have been given in first to market. Stage 3, where you essentially have to claim maximize with a new mechanism. Stage 4, if the mechanism has been pushed, you essentially need to take that mechanism and increase the benefits of that mechanism that have been introduced at stage number 3. And stage number 5, when a new mechanism have been pushed to maximum, you need extraordinary identification features. And that could be that you as an advertiser identifies with the individuals themselves. And when you understand that, it's essentially your task as an advertiser to build a stringent narrative that first and foremost grabs your target audience attention with your creatives and gets them to click on the ad, converts their initial attention into interest, and after that persuades their interest to essentially purchasing the product on the sales page and checkout process. Now, furthermore, when building a narrative-based advertising funnel, you have to guide your prospect along a storyline where everything is kept cohesively, and that is foundational. Because when you have a specific narrative that essentially resonates with your target audience, you need to keep that narrative from the ad to the landing page to the checkout process until they essentially buy your product. Because if not, the target audience would be thrown off, that your customer journey isn't cohesive. Now, I essentially want to break down a case study of mine that I briefly talked about earlier, so you can get the point and understand how to apply this for yourself. And the case study that we will essentially look at is Kuffer Kørhansker, a great client of mine, as I said, a Danish brand that sells road books. And their primary hero offer is this road book that the founder has made essentially himself, because he loves everything to do with cars. So it's a product that the founder have essentially made himself, which also means that I am in a unique position because I'm advertising a truly unique product in a market where we don't have any competitors. Really, the level of sophistication is super, super low because the target audience haven't seen similar products to this. Now, let's essentially go into flowchart to break down the entire funnel so you can see how a narrative-based acquisition funnel look like. Now, as you can see here, I have essentially illustrated the entire funnel from ad creative to landing page to checkout process and essentially buying the product. And if I zoom in a bit further, you can see that we currently have a narrative that is based around Christmas, where we have a specific angle targeting people who are in the same family as men that love cars, and where we are essentially telling those people that you need to purchase this specific book for your man this Christmas instead of just giving him socks as usual. So we are using that angle, and obviously this is in Danish, but if I just break down the copy, you might understand it better. So the copy says, if I translate it to English, if you haven't purchased a Christmas gift for the man in your life that loves cars, you have a big problem, unless you don't want a man which is happy, energetic, and positive this Christmas. If you essentially want a man who is all of those things, we at Kuffer Kørhansker, the brand, have the right solution for you. Our truly unique yearly our truly unique yearly book that essentially would be the perfect solution for you. It's perfect for men who loves cars. It has a lexicon with QR codes behind the book with YouTube videos that your man that loves car can watch, and it's the only it's the only book in Denmark of this format. And the best thing is that the best thing is that the book is only costing you 349 Danish kroner, which is approximately $50. And the call to action is that you essentially just have to buy this book for the man in your life that loves cars. And again, lastly, the link for the landing page. So that's the overall copy, and that's the overall angle that we have in the creatives as well. Now I just wanted to take a few creatives with me here. We have quite a fair amount as of right now, but I just wanted to take these creatives with me so you can see that we are keeping all of the creatives with the same angle. If it's static edge, if it's UGC, or if it's mockup, whatever it might be, we are essentially keeping the whole customer journey cohesively with the same angle. And in this case, this angle is resonating super well with our target audience. And from our ads, we direct them into a landing page where you can see yet again we have our main offer, we have our hero offer, and we are essentially also currently testing a bit on the landing page here. So you can see we have the primary landing page with the book itself, but we also have a landing page where we are testing with a bundle and keeping the narrative cohesively. So you can essentially see that list landing page says, if I translate it to English, the perfect Christmas gift for the man who loves cars, and essentially just a bundle of products to increase the average order value. And yeah, you can essentially see how we are keeping the same narrative cohesively from the ad to the landing pages, and again when they essentially check out and lastly purchase our product. And just to give you some insights of how well this is working, you can currently see that screenshots from the Shopify dashboard that essentially shows the 30th of November, which is the date that we started this specific campaign, till yesterday, the 13th of December 2024. We have increased sales quite a lot, profitably, capital efficiently, where we are profiting of first time customers. And you can see that the time frame is exactly when we started running this narrative, and where we essentially started running this advertising campaign. So, and if we essentially click back now, you should be able to see and able to understand how effective narrative-based advertising / funnels are in 2025 / 2024. If you're able to spread a message that essentially resonates with the wavelength of your audience, I strongly suggest that you essentially give this a try yourself and brainstorm narrative that you can use to successfully advertise and to essentially successfully acquire new customers. This is how you as an e-commerce store can scale on an 8x ROAS whilst maintaining first order profitability. In this video, I'll essentially guide you through how I conduct creative funnels for clients of mine on paid social, and more specifically using Meta as a primary access channel to advertise on. And I'm going to do that with the example / case study of mine called Kuffer Kørhandsker. That's a Danish e-commerce brand, a client of mine that I have been scaling super rapidly. And I already have a YouTube video about that specific case that you can watch, breaking down every single element. Now, furthermore, you'll also learn how I could achieve success for this client of mine using advertising on Meta, even though the founder himself had partnerships with some of the most commercial agencies in Denmark that every single time have resulted in failure. Now, you'll also get my insights into how I essentially craft creative funnels on paid social, and see how that allowed us to essentially scale our revenue and scale our profits quite significantly in a short amount of time. And more importantly, you yourself will essentially see how you can go from having a front end with few profits to having a front end with tons of profits that you essentially can. That principles that you essentially can take yourself and leverage in your own e-commerce store. But before we dig deep, we essentially first need to break down and understand an advertising principle, because previously the founder was burning thousands of Danish kroner a month on advertising with poor return on ad spend. So I had to stop the entire fire and completely turn the case upside down in order to save the brand from losing ad spend every single month. And that's exactly what I did, using the teachings from Breakthrough Advertising written by the German Eugene Schwartz. And the core principle that you can find from Breakthrough Advertising is that you, as an advertiser, shall profit from the first order. Don't use lifetime value as an excuse. Achieve front-end profitability, which essentially also is going to give you an easier time to reach escape velocity. Principle number 2, the 5 level of market awareness, meaning that you have to essentially understand foundationally how aware your audience is and craft your advertising efforts to their level of awareness. And thirdly, the principle by Sam Owens, which is the art of sales, is to craft separation between where your target audience currently are to where your audience essentially want to be. And the core thesis behind that is you essentially also have to use their pain points in order to move them over the emotional threshold, as you can see here, because if you don't use their pain points to essentially make sure they go over the emotional thresholds, or your audience is not going to take that specific action that you want them to do. Now, you will essentially see how I took this client of mine, reframed his offer, build an entire creative system from A to Z that motivated our audience using their specific pain points throughout the entire customer journey from unaware to aware. So let's get started. First and foremost, we have the offer, and I don't want to talk about the offer too much because, in all honesty, this is a fairly unique case. The offer himself have written a road book because he is a car enthusiast that loves everything about cars. So he has actually made his own product talking about, cars essentially. So it's not an offer that you kind of can compete with because it's a unique product that our target audience haven't seen before. So I also want to say and be completely honest and transparent and say that we are selling an offer to an audience that have proof of concept, because obviously the founder have a YouTube channel where he have validated his offer, and secondly, we don't have any competitors. So in this case, the offer has made it a lot easier for us to acquire front-end profitability. Secondly, we have the 5 levels of market awareness, and I essentially briefly want to take you with me and show you how I have essentially crafted a creative funnel for this client of mine using creative concepts for every single stage of the market awareness graph. First and foremost, as you can see, we have most aware, and when you are targeting a most aware audience, you are dealing with people who are in the audience, in the market, ready to buy. They just want a logical reason to essentially convert. And obviously, this case of mine is in Danish, so it's really hard for you to understand as in an English-speaking country. But essentially, what I'm doing here is using static ads with a logical reason for our target audience to buy, and using the value proposition that I have validated and know resonate with our target audience. But essentially, the core concept here is using static ads to essentially make sure we hit the messaging with our audience right on the nail, because obviously when they are in a most aware audience, they don't want anything else than a logical reason to buy, and that's exactly what we are doing here with a static ad and then a value proposition that gets them over the line. Secondly, we have product aware, and when you're dealing with a product aware audience, they know who you are, they know about your brand, but they don't typically know how well your product can essentially fulfill their mass desire. So what I'm doing here is using social proof. Obviously, product aware is quite similar to most aware. So yet again, we have a logical reason for them to convert, but we are also using social proof. And as you can see here, we are using yet again another static ad with a social proof, essentially talking in terms of the mass desire that I know our target audience has, and essentially just from a review confirms that our target audience can achieve that transformation, can achieve that desire that they essentially want from our product. And that again has worked really, really well in this case. Lastly, we have solution aware and problem aware. And Normally these two types of awareness levels don't go hand in hand, but in this case it have worked extremely well for us. And the reason why is because obviously we are dealing with an offer that doesn't really have any competitors, so we are really shaping the market here. So in this case I have just essentially used solution aware and problem aware and inserted them into one category. And obviously the videos are in Danish, so I don't want to play them because you probably won't understand them. But to essentially give you a brief overview of what we are doing here, in the first video we are appealing to a solution aware audience, and the main purpose of our creative in a solution aware audience is pretty much to bash other solutions that our target audience have had previously. So here we are essentially talking about this book that will be a perfect gift for a man who loves cars. So we are essentially also bashing every other solution that you as our target audience may have had previously, buying gift to your man who loves cars. That could be literally everything. Obviously I found a few key elements here that I essentially inserted in the script, which just made sure that our audience resonated with the script and with the messaging a lot more. So key element is that you essentially have to understand phase solutions that your target audience previously have tried but didn't work, so you can bash them in a solution aware audience. And lastly, we have a problem aware audience, and that essentially just goes to show that you have to essentially twist the main problems that your target audience have, and that's exactly what we have been doing in this case of mine. We are essentially talking about the pain points that our target audience has, and mainly the main pain points that I know our target audience has is that it's extremely hard and difficult to find a gift for a man who is over 30 years old, because in that stage of life you pretty much have everything that he wants, and if there is something that he doesn't have but which he desires, he will essentially just go get him himself. So we are talking in terms of that specific pain point and that specific angle, and that have worked wonders for us. Now I also wanted to say that when you are crafting ads for solution slash problem aware audiences, that's also where you will see that your ads scale the most. To give you insights, in our ad account currently as I'm speaking, the creative to our left is quite literally taking every single dime of our spend. This creative to our left is spending 95% of our total advertising spent every single day. And obviously the reason why is because our messaging is essentially hit right on the nail compared to what our target audience have experienced before with other solutions and the current pain points, but also because you have the most amount of people in these market segments who you can get to convert. Obviously unaware is a larger market segment, but it often takes a lot more time for these customers to convert because they are completely unaware, as it says. Now, in this case of mine, we actually don't have any ads for unaware people because we are essentially reaping the rewards from being first to market and having a funnel that essentially only speaks to these four levels of awareness. So that's what we are currently increasing spend on. Now, as we scale, I know as an advertising, and I am also cognitive about, we essentially have to increase our market and our advertising for our market awareness to also resonate with our unaware people. So we have a entire funnel from A to Z. But as I'm speaking and as I'm filming this video, we actually don't have any creatives for an unaware audience. Now, lastly, and something that I want. Perfect. You now have an understanding of how to build your foundation and also an understanding of how to build your funnels from A to Z. We now need to move on to the last part of this mini course, which is about organic marketing. You will learn how you can use organic marketing to help you scale your paid advertising efforts, further increase your budgets whilst maintaining a sound and profitable cost per acquisition. Organic marketing is often the missing piece in the puzzle for most brands that wants to scale their paid advertising efforts. Everybody are looking in their ad account nowadays, which I understand. As a marketer myself, but organic marketing is essential if you want to build a cost-efficient way where you can expand your funnel. So without further ado, let's get going with organic marketing. Under scaling volume, where we are going to talk about organic marketing, which is a cost-efficient way to expand your funnel. Most e-commerce owners focus on paid advertising and overlook how important organic marketing is for rapidly growing through paid advertising. Organic marketing is an essential part of our advertising efforts, helping to grow our funnel in a cost-efficient way and create positive associations with our brand. Often, e-commerce companies that hit a plateau at a certain level of spend and can move forward look at their performance marketing efforts, which is understandable. However, the problem is really that they haven't expanded their funnel enough. Take my friend again, Henrik Grebold from Handsker. He owns a YouTube channel, as you can see here. He owns this YouTube channel where he generates a brick ton of traffic that essentially also helps our pixel, but also creates positive associations with his brand through organic videos. And this generates traffic and expands our funnel for free, which helps us enormously with our paid advertising efforts. Now, I know it's not a great example because it's quite extreme to have a YouTube channel as an e-commerce founder. But if you are the founder of an e-commerce store and you don't use organic marketing such as Reels or just post organically on Instagram, TikTok, whatever the platform might be, obviously suitable for your brand, you are in general making your life a lot harder than it has to be. Because one thing that I help my partners with is look at how we can create a system and strategy to expand our funnel through organic marketing, create positive associations with our brand, and therefore scale our paid advertising through the positive association we have created. Without this step, you simply won't be able to scale because increasing ad spend on your ad channels will simply not help you here. And it also gives you a full funnel approach instead of having to rely on performance marketing efforts. Another example is a former client of mine, Anissa Hijab Fashion, whom I helped create an organic strategy using creators on TikTok via gifting, which you can see here worked wonders for us. It helped our brand expand our funnel almost for free, and then it also helped our paid advertising efforts to scale because we have an underlying organic strategy to essentially help us do that. And that did not only result in hardcore conversions back end, but it also created positive associations supporting our paid funnel and diversified the brand's traffic sources and overall risk of the company, making it a company of a higher valuation because you haven't tied all of your efforts onto one or two channels, as an example. Now, it worked for us because these creatives provided inspiration, resonated with our target audience, and hit the consumer in the state of mind that you are in when you scroll TikTok, which is to get inspired. And then we could also test organically on some creatives and then use TikTok Spark ads to put spend behind winning creatives, which is called whitelisting, giving us a higher hit rate on our ads because we can test organically, spend less money on testing, and essentially increase our overall return. Now, essentially giving insights into how the organic strategy could accelerate giving this insight into how this organic strategy could accelerate paid marketing for this client of mine, you essentially also have to start as an e-commerce owner that wants to really ramp up your paid acquisition to focus on your organic organic marketing efforts. And the great thing about it is that organic marketing is owned media, which is an asset that you own, yourself, and will pay your brand dividends and a good long-term investment for any e-commerce store. Because if you rely on Facebook as a primary access channel for your paid advertising efforts and CPM prices drop a week, you are screwed over. But if you have your organic marketing as an asset, it's going to be a lot less stress and headache for you because you have that underlying of safety for the brand. Now, one important part to be aware of is that it can be more difficult to make an exit if all of your organic marketing is tied up on the owner of the company. As an example, this client of mine is not going to be able to sell his brand because it's all about him, but he loves what he's doing, so that's something differently. What I did for this client was just to use creatives via gifting to make sure that it's a exit-able plan and strategy that we use. So that's essentially organic strategy and a overlooked part, in my opinion, that every e-commerce store that is